Thanks for joining me outside today. I'm gonna make the best macaroni and cheese you've ever tasted. I'm gonna teach you how to make it. It's so simple. If you are gonna learn one recipe, it is this. It's midterm week. I've been grading all of your midterms. Your midterms are doing well. I'm so proud of my students. But it is Saturday night, it's 9:00 p.m. Time to take some break. I'm gonna batch cook a whole bunch of mac and cheese that are like better than any mac and cheese. I've had this recipe forever and perfected it, and honestly I've never tasted a better one. So I love it. You're gonna do 1 pound of macaroni and cheese. You're gonna do 1 pound of macaroni. Cook your macaroni al dente. That just means don't cook it all the way through. What is a pound gonna weigh? You know, when you make a pound of ground beef, it looks about like this and it's kind of heavy. So make it like around as heavy as, like, think about a pound of ground beef. All right. So I don't know. It's just going to be kind of what fits in your pan. Okay. What fits in a pan like this or a pan a little bit bigger. So here we go. Maybe a little bit more. It doesn't really matter. There's a pound of mac and cheese, or of macaroni there, that I didn't cook all the way through. 1 can of tomato soup. I do think there's a difference between the expensive tomato soup and the cheap tomato soup. So this stuff, I'm kind of old. This used to be about 99 cents, 79 cents, Campbell's condensed soup. But it's like $2.50 now, which is ridiculous to me. But get the good stuff. This soup. Okay, then 1 1/4 cup of milk, which I wouldn't normally measure, but I'm going to measure today because when I found this recipe, I was pretty young and I actually measured things. It always turned out great. So there's a 1/4 cup. Here's a 1 cup measure you should have in your kitchen. I use this 3 1/4% milk. I also use cream. I don't even keep 2% milk in the house because I like the creamy taste of milk. And then I'm going to put in 3 cups of cheddar cheese. Again, you can estimate 3 cups or you can measure it. If you want to get into cooking, invest in a 1 1/2 cup measure because you're often doing 3 cups of things. So there we go, 1 1/2 and 1 1/2. But we're gonna make the best mac and cheese, so we're gonna add a little bit more. That's all shredded. I just shred things by hand. I don't buy the pre-shredded cheese. This is old cheddar, by the way. It has a lot of flavor. But it's cheap old cheddar. It's just your regular Compliments brand or whatever, old cheddar. I shred it by hand. I only have 1 hand shredder. I don't buy shredded cheese. That's expensive. 8 tablespoons of butter. When it comes to butter, you should really know how to measure out butter. And this is 1/2 cup of butter. So 1/2 cup of butter looks like this. If you buy the really cheap butter, it doesn't have measurements on the side. If you buy a little bit more expensive butter, it has measurements on the side. So my recommendation is to buy a expensive one that has the measurements. It says, actually this is 1 cup. So this says 1/2 cup and, oh no, I cut it in half. So it's a 1/4 cup. It says 1/2 cup and 1/2 cup. Measurements on the side are nice, but if you're buying a lot of butter, just buy one with the measurements and cut the cheap ones the same size. So these are all 1/2 cup of butter. So I'm gonna use 1/2 cup of butter for this recipe, but I'm not gonna put it all inside. Here we go. I'm gonna divide up this, and here's a trick to this recipe, is that you're dividing up your butter. I don't have my knife, so that's okay. I'm going to divide up my butter in at least 8 sections because the more this is divided up for the recipe, the more it's going to be sort of divided into the recipe and nice and smooth and lovely. Now, I'm making this for friends. I'm grateful to have lots of nice friends, and I'm going to share it with them. I'm gonna smoke mine instead of putting it in the oven because I like the smoky taste that macaroni and cheese gets, but you can stick yours in the oven. But when you divide up your butter, then it dances all through your recipe and stirs its way through and kind of divides evenly so that each bite is good. So I'm gonna put about 6/8, which is 3/4 of this butter into the recipe, and I'm gonna leave 1/4 for out, and I might add a little bit more afterwards too, because that's kind of fun. And that's it. That's it. Now, I've experimented with this recipe over time. I've made it a little bit nicer. I like it with some onions because no matter what you make, you should have a little bit of crunch in it. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of green onions because no matter what you make, you should have at least 2 colors. So put a bit of green onions in it, and I put spinach in everything. It doesn't change how it tastes, but it makes it a little bit more healthy. I put salt and pepper in everything. Some salt, some pepper, and I need hot sauce. I put hot sauce in everything. When I make this recipe, I always make it with sambal hot sauce. It's an Indonesian type of hot sauce you can buy at like a Dutch store. I love this recipe with sambal, but I don't have any sambal in the fridge right now, so I'm using my favorite hot sauce that I usually use for all other things. Now, if you look at that, it's pretty yummy looking. That's how you make mac and cheese. I'm going to summarize that again for you. About 1 pound of little bit undercooked macaroni. You put 3 cups of cheddar cheese in it that's shredded. You put 1 1/4 cup of milk or cream in it. You put 1/4 cup of butter in it, but you save a bit of it for the top. And then if you want to, oh, and you have to have your Campbell's soup in it. 1 can of Campbell's soup, that's it. If you want to, you can add some onions for crunch and some spinach for nutrition. And that's it. This is the best thing for your kitchen. This is a Pampered Chef spatula. They're about $25. If you can find a knockoff, that's fine too. But they're wonderful and they last you a lifetime. I've had mine since I was 24 years old. Look at that goodness in there. Just bake it in the oven at 350 uncovered, about 45 minutes. You just kind of look at it, smell if it's done, use your nose. You don't even have to look. You can tell when it's done. Let's make the top look nice. To make the top of a casserole look nice, you spread breadcrumbs over the top. You can buy breadcrumbs or you can make them. I like these breadcrumbs. They're Italian style breadcrumbs. They're kind of nice looking, but you have to have butter on them. So equally space a bunch of cubes of butter that are going to melt on those breadcrumbs. Melted butter on breadcrumbs is absolutely delightful, especially for people who don't cook, because they think it just tastes really yummy and they don't know how bad for them it actually tastes. I would normally salt and pepper this when it comes out of the oven, but I'll just show you how to do it now. Just a bit of pepper, about that much pepper, about that much salt. I'm gonna throw that in a smoker, but you could just throw that in the oven, or you can cover it with tin foil, give it to your friend like this with a little note that says bake at 350 uncovered for 45 minutes. It's a beautiful gift for somebody. It's also a really nice side dish to make for if you have company coming over. It's also a great potluck recipe. It's the best macaroni and cheese you've ever had. I brought this to countless potlucks. I've made this for so many birthday parties. When I have a lot of people coming over, but I don't want to spend a fortune, this is what I make. There's never even 1 piece of macaroni left. Thanks for joining me. I'm gonna make 6 of these and throw them all in a smoker now. Take care.